Gentlemen, what is going on today? My name is Ryan Mickler. I'm your host and the founder of the Order of Man podcast and movement. Welcome here. My job is to give you everything that you might need to become a better father, husband, business owner, community leader, however you're showing up as a man. And I'm grateful for you being here, but most importantly, for you applying the information. When I started this thing 9 years ago, I saw a real deep need for not only information, but ways in which we could apply the information to actually improve our lives and the lives of the people that we're called to lead. So I am glad you're here. I've got a very short one for you today, but it's going to be very impactful. It's a question. It's one simple question that I ask myself constantly. I ask myself this multiple times throughout the day. And when I listen to the answer, it helps me lead myself, lead my friends, lead my family, lead this community better than I did before. So I'm going to share with you here just in a minute. Before I do, want to let you know that we've got our event, the Order of Man Uprising event. This is 20 men all coming into a property that I've secured in southern Utah for 3.5 days of brotherhood and camaraderie and accountability. We're going to be doing some physical exercises. We're going to be going through our battle plans and helping you craft a battle plan that's going to help you accomplish what you want to accomplish as we move into the next quarter of 2024. And it's going to push you and challenge you in ways that I think will help motivate you to take the right steps in your life for the next level. So if you're interested, we've got 7 spots remaining. I just looked this morning. It's May 2nd through May 5th, 2024. And you can check out a quick video and the details at orderofman.com/uprising. orderofman.com/uprising. All right, guys, now let me get into it. Again, this one's going to be fairly quick for our Friday field notes, but it's important. It really is. And the question I'm going to lead off with you here right now is this. What would the man I want to be do? What would the man I want to be do? Now, we could ask ourselves this question whenever we're confronted with a challenging perspective, scenario, idea, set of circumstances. Because all too often, what ends up happening when we're caught up in the moment is we get emotional. At times, we get irrational. There's things that cloud our decision-making process. And when we react to situations rather than responding to situations, it's usually hasty. It's usually not very well thought out. It's emotionally driven as opposed to logically driven. And if you're anything like me, it ends up producing some inferior results in our lives that we have to go back and manage and clean up down the road. I don't want to do that personally. I want to be efficient. I want to make the right decisions in the right moment so that I can move forward with clarity of purpose and accomplish what I want to do in maximum efficiency and productivity. So I have to remind myself to take a step back, especially when I'm emotionally compromised, and consider what would the man I want to be do in this situation. This is one of the most incredible things that we as humans have the ability to do. It's an exercise in consciousness. It allows us to project ourselves to a future date and time, to a place that doesn't even exist yet, the man I want to be, and allows us to reverse engineer the process and make decisions not based on our own emotion, based on our own intuition, but based on the projection of a better version of ourselves. What would the man I want to be do in this scenario? So if you're considering starting a business or leaving a business, if you're considering how you're going to discipline one of your children when they make a mistake, if you're considering how you're going to approach your wife or significant other when you have a disagreement or an argument or a frustration, then this is going to help you answer that question and move forward with confidence, knowing you're making the right decision. Let's break down this a little bit more and talk with you about how you begin to identify and recognize the man that you want to be. Number one is, I wrote here, you have to identify who that man is. So how does this man show up? And we want to do this before we're confronted with difficult or challenging circumstances, because we don't want to be compromised when we do this exercise. So what I would suggest to you is to grab a notepad out and start writing down the values that you espouse, the things that are important to you, the virtues that are the most meaningful to you, and write that down. This is a vision exercise, and we talk a lot about this in our exclusive brotherhood, the Iron Council. But guys, this is a vision exercise. Do you value hard work? Do you value honesty? Do you value discipline? Do you value commitment and loyalty and dedication and mastery towards a craft? And look, it's easy to say you value those things, but really do a self analysis and maybe even include close people in your circle, your wife, your children, friends, relatives, who might give you an accurate reflection as to whether or not you actually believe the value that you say you do. And you can decide or know that through your own actions. Do your actions speak to that? So, for example, if you say, I value discipline, and you get on the scale and you're 50 pounds overweight, then you don't value discipline. You say you value discipline, but you don't actually value it when the rubber meets the road. If you pull up your bank account and you're $40,000 in consumer debt, then you don't value financial discipline. You say you do, you say that's important, but your actions are telling you something different. And look, I've been here. There's an integrity gap at times in our lives where we know what we should be doing and we're not doing that. But there's a difference between valuing something and then just saying it, just paying lip service. So do you actually value it? Are you disciplined? Are you low body fat percentage? Are you getting out of debt? And we don't have to have everything perfect, but are you on the path? And if you're not, then there's some work. There's some room for improvement. But ideally, you need to identify what kind of man this actually is. And another exercise that I like to incorporate, and this is point number 2, is that you can begin to ask yourself about other men that you admire and respect. If it's guys like Jocko Willink, what is it about Jocko Willink that you really admire? Is it his discipline? Is it his no-nonsense attitude towards life? Is it the ability to serve this country? Is it how he communicates and articulates his thoughts? If it's Jordan Peterson, is it that he's an intellect? Is that he's thoughtful about what he's saying? Is that he's bold and willing to say what he needs to say and willing to sacrifice for the message he believes in? What is it that you admire about these men that you follow? And can you find common themes and threads between each of these men? If all of the guys that you admire and respect and look up to, whether they're social media influencers like Jocko and Jordan Peterson, or somebody more closely in line with your life, your father or your jiu-jitsu coach or your boss or that one colleague or a friend, okay, what is it that all of them possess and what is the commonality between all of them? If you can find 3, 4, 5 things, then you know that is something that you truly value. And then you can begin to work into your own life. How am I showing up in the same way? Am I as disciplined as Jocko is? Oftentimes we'll hear things that on social media that say, well, comparison is the thief of joy. And I believe that it can be, but I also believe that you can look at what other individuals are doing to be inspired by what they're doing. And it's not robbing you of your joy. It's showing you what is possible if you move your actions in alignment with theirs. Not for their reasons, not for their motives, but because you have personally identified that this is somebody worth emulating. And these characteristics and traits are worth adopting and incorporating into your life. So identifying the man is crucial. And then looking at other men around you and extrapolating what virtues, characteristics, beliefs, and actions do they incorporate in their life that you can now incorporate into yours. It's not enough to say, oh man, I really like that guy. Why? What about that guy do you like? And how would you like to be like him? And guys, the last thing that I'm going to share with you here today, again, this is a very short one, but it's impactful if you incorporate this into your life. And the third point that I want to make to you is that at some point you have to detach yourself from the result, because being the type of man that you want to be is not going to immediately produce the results that you desire. Sometimes our immediate gratification or our immediate benefit is at odds with the type of man that we want to become. So for example, if you're in an argument with your wife, or let's even say your ex-wife, you can decide to get at her. You can decide to make snarky comments or do something that would, compromise her in some way because you're trying to get back at her. And that actually might feel good in the moment. But is it in alignment with the kind of man that you want to be? Probably not, if we're being honest. And sometimes people are either going to take longer to respond to our changes, or potentially they're not going to respond or change at all. And we have to be okay with that. because we're not making decisions based upon other people's responses. What a horrible way to live. You're only going to make decisions based on if somebody says yes or no, or likes what he has to say, or doesn't like what you have to say. That is a horrible, horrible way to live. You have to live based on what you believe is right, and then allow the chips to fall where they may. So even though you may not have any personal reward immediately, you have to have some level of faith that showing up in this way will produce a long-term benefit to you. For example, at work, you might be tempted to throw another colleague or coworker under the bus so that you get the praise, the notoriety, the raise, or the promotion. That's going to be pretty enticing, to be honest, when we're talking about another $10,000 a year in income or a promotion that's going to help you lead the organization. I don't believe that the ends justify the means. I don't. I believe that we are to behave in a righteous manner, and I've identified what I believe that is for me because I've went through this exercise multiple times for myself, and then I have faith that over time things are going to work out. I will get the promotions. I will start the businesses. I will pick up the clients. I will develop and build the relationships. I will have that thriving, healthy relationship with a woman. Like, these are the things I know will happen if I do the right things, but I cannot attach my effort to the immediate result because, as I said earlier, sometimes those things are at odds with each other. Not always. Sometimes doing the right thing will manifest immediate results, but other times it'll take significantly longer to produce the result that you desire by doing the right thing. In fact, many times doing the right thing takes longer to produce the result than doing the wrong thing. So detach yourself from the result. Have faith that the effort is going to inevitably lead you to where you want to be. Guys, that question has been instrumental in changing my life, especially when I'm tempted to make bad decisions. And we all know when we're tempted to make those bad decisions, we rationalize, we justify, we excuse, we procrastinate. These are all indicators that you're about to do something that you know is not the right thing to do. And in that case, you ought to swamp out that thought with the thought, what would the man I want to be do in this scenario? Number one, identify what kind of man that is. Number two, look for other men who are emulating those characteristics and try to find out what they're doing that you can incorporate into your life. And number three, detach yourself from the immediate result so you give yourself the opportunity to see long-term growth and progress through your better behavior and actions. Guys, I hope this serves you. Again, this was a little shorter than it normally is, but I don't need to drone on and on about something that's so simple. A little harder to implement, but it is very simple, and I hope this serves you. If it does, please let me know. Give me a shout out on Instagram or Twitter or Facebook. Hit me in an email, ryan@orderaman.com. But ultimately, let me know what you think. Let other people know that you're listening to this. Consider joining us in one of those last of 7 spots at the Uprising, orderaman.com/uprising. And let's continue to get after it. Guys, I'll be back next week. Until then, go out there, take action, and become the man you are meant to be.